Hello, everyone. Welcome to Women Together. My name is Antoinette, and I already see our chat going as we let people filter in and land here. So, if this is your first time with Women Together, a warm welcome to you. I feel like I'm wearing my Bliss sweater, my fuzzy sweater today, and I send you all that kind of warmth. Even if you're in a warm place, you can send us your sunshine. But wherever you are, you can maybe just say hello in the chat. Which, if you are new to Zoom, which I feel so many of us are now, Zoom is just part of it's like another hand, an extension of ourselves. But if you, at the bottom of your screen, click on the chat button, you can start saying hello and see on the right-hand side, it's popping up. And if you're on YouTube, you can type directly in the comment section and say hello there. So just saying a hello and where we're all coming from. I am standing in Cortland Manor, New York, which is just next to the Hudson River, north of New York City. And I'm welcoming everyone. So I see so many wonderful places coming in and people. Lisa in Philly, Risa in Asheville, North Carolina, Diane in Madison, New Jersey. I feel a lot of us in the Northeast here are still dealing with the snow. And Jennifer, Hazy Sunshine in Northern California, Lakshmi in Huntington Beach, California, Marianne in Massachusetts, Ruth Ann, suburb of Philadelphia, no snow by you today. Another Carla from Philly. I love to hear where everyone's coming from and the different places. Sandy from Memphis, Anne Marie in Weaverville, North Carolina. Really, we're coming from today. It looks like many of us in the United States. We often do have some of us from Canada and from Europe as well. So we've got Annette in Jamaica. Take us with you. Send us the sunshine. Manchester by the sea. Paula, welcome. So it's wonderful to just have us all here together and really holding our own place and also be landing together in this Zoom space, which gives us a feeling of being both grounded in our own, maybe it's our own home, but our own feet on the ground, and also connected to each other. By hearts, by minds, screens, whatever will do it these days. And finding a place to land together and to relax, to find center. And today our theme is on focusing on what matters. So I'll give a little overview of Women Together, as I always do, just in case we have some new faces, but I see many familiar faces, and I love to go into the gallery. So you on the top right corner of Zoom, if you click on the gallery, you can click through and just wave hello. There are many bright and brilliant faces who are joining us. It's wonderful to see each other and just to take in who's here and who's with us today. Wonderful. And there's Simba, who is active today. So what I'd like to do is invite us into a tiny practice. And what we do with Women Together, it's an initiative built by Eileen Fisher to just really she talks about how there's a magic that happens when women come together. And I have felt that week after week with our sessions here and with the way that we hold space for each other and we listen to one another. Last week, we did a session on generous listening, and it's incredibly powerful what happens when we just make space to really hear each other, and we're not hearing the story or where you're coming from or what you're doing, even though those are great and those are great entryways. We're really listening to something deeper, which is the essence of who we are and what we bring to this planet, not just to this little Zoom call, which isn't so little, it's wonderful. So to have this time and space together has been such a joy and something that I don't know that any of us could have expected to find during this time of disruption. So while we moved into a global pandemic, we started doing these daily and weekly connections rather than the kind of hybrid and online and in-person events that we were doing in Irvington, New York. Um, and it's been incredible to just see how we can hold each other in this moment of, some of us have been dealing with a lot of you know, trials and tribulations with family members, with our own lives, with friendships, and in just seeing and hearing what's going on around us. And sometimes it is difficult to come back to the self and to turn the lens back and give ourselves what we need. So, this little hour is an opportunity to do that and to really just turn the lens back on planet self, and really just be here with what's happening, with what's going on and what's bubbling up. So today we're focusing on what matters. Many of you have said that what we need to focus on is giving ourselves a little bit of that time. So I'll share a few what we call tiny practices, which are really just a way to be able to access this centering and grounding and sense of freedom and possibility in ourselves that we can do at any time of the day, at any time in our lives. And we can just take a moment of pause. We can journal or jot something down. We can have that conversation with ourselves. And we can center, we can use the body and deeply connect into the essence of who we are. So I'm going to get a little chime, which I have right here hiding. So you can, wherever you are, just find a comfortable seat. So this is a singing bowl, and it is normally in Eileen Fisher conference rooms, but it has been in my living room for almost a year now, as we normally do this before meetings. And so it's really just a way to land and a way to be here in where we are in this body and in this connection space. So if you get both feet flat on the ground, if that's available to you, just exhale everything out completely. Perhaps close your eyes or lower your gaze if that feels right. Just follow the inhale and exhale of the breath. And perhaps just notice where it goes in the body. Just landing a gentle awareness on the breath. And I'll ring the sound of the chime to begin our moment of stillness, and I'll ring the sound to bring us back once again. Thank you all for taking that little moment. I feel like I say this often, but I really do wonder what would happen if we just did like a 20-minute sitting practice together, Just it would just be, yeah, so maybe we should just do that. I see a lot of thumbs up. So maybe we should just offer that together. Francis is like, no. So either way, wonderful to we each have our ways in. So thank you. So just a little agenda setting of what we're doing today is focusing on what matters. And I'll do a little discussion just for a few minutes to share some thinking to just get us on a similar page, and a practice. And today I'm going to invite us into a journaling practice um, that really is kind of taking inventory, taking stock, and I'll talk us through that. So be prepared for some journaling, a little conversation with self, and then we will go into conversation together. So if you're in Zoom, you'll have the opportunity to turn to each other, and perhaps you want to take a moment of stillness together, but perhaps you find the magic in conversation, which there really is a great deal of when we can connect with each other and allow ourselves to be seen and heard. There really is a magic that happens. So I look forward to that time. It's my favorite, and we'll get there in just about 20 minutes. But first, I'll talk a little bit about this idea of focusing on what matters. And I have to say, I find that every time we have these conversations coming, I start to, reconsider, and it starts percolating the night before, and I, get all into my head. And I realized, of course, today that what I need to do is just stay in the body with it, and how to focus on what matters by staying centered. So I will speak some words, but I will also remind us of that, because focusing on what matters isn't just focusing on what we're doing. It's shifting our way of being, and it's really shifting into being with the breath. And Ellen just brought in where focus goes, energy flows. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that too. Um, Francis, I'm alone all the time, so I do that enough. Thank you anyway. Yes. A little bit of that for sure. So if you'd like to put into the chat any conversation, you're welcome to, and also anything that brings you to this particular moment around focusing on what matters. Is it, what brought you here today? Is it being together with this group of women? Is it this particular topic of conversation? What does focusing on what matters mean to you? And I'll read a few of them out, both from Zoom and YouTube. What we focus on grows, from Nancy. Thank you. Yeah. The connection. So human connection. Beautiful. Yeah. I think this has been a lifeline in a lot of ways for us to find community and connect with each other. Happy birthday, Michelle. Beautiful. Valuing the connection, the community with women. Identify my focus as a glide path into retirement. Congratulations, or almost congratulations, Grace Ann, we're with you. I find myself pulled in so many directions these days and feel a need to get grounded. The community of other women helps. Thanks, Sarah, for sharing that. Yeah. Even just to see what we're all sitting with, in this moment, even just to have that, like, oh, right. Some of us are sitting here in a place of being alone, and day after day, what that can mean. We are human beings and we need connection. Even if we're the most introverted people, we still need that connection. So yeah, focusing on the connection of the greater world to enrich my small world, focus on kindness to myself and others. Thank you, Esther. The consistency of connection, prioritize what's most important in order to move forward. We will do some of that. Used to going 180 miles per hour, now retired, need to focus on myself. Yeah. Beautiful. There are a great many of these wonderful comments and, reasons and ways that we can recenter ourselves. Recently, last year I met Anne F. O'Reilly, who is an Irish poet, and she's incredible. And she read a poem called Postscript by Seamus Heaney. And I'm going to read that poem because I'm going to read that poem. And you know, in that, I've just been feeling that poetry is such a way for us to heal. And I call out Amanda Gorman and the words that she spoke at our inauguration and also at the Super Bowl for those of us in the United States. And the way that we are calling poetry in to some of these major functions is just also showing how much our hearts are aching for words that can articulate, words that can create worlds, as Anne O'Reilly says, that remind us of who we are and the essence of our humanity. So I will not do justice to Anne O'Reilly's readings, and I highly recommend you find her work, but I will read Postscript. And sometime make the time to drive out west, into County Clare, along the flaggy shore, in September or October, when the wind and the light are working off each other, so that the ocean on one side is wild, with foam and glitter, and inland among stones, the surface of a slate gray lake is lit by the earthed lightning of a flock of swans, their feathers ruffed and ruffling white on white, their fully grown, headstrong-looking heads tucked or cresting or busy underwater. Useless to think you'll park and capture it more thoroughly. You are neither here nor there, a hurry through which known and strained things pass, as big soft buffetings come at the car sideways and catch the heart off guard and blow it open. In part, I bring that poem in for those last lines. Useless to think you'll park and capture it more thoroughly. You are neither here nor there, a hurry through which known and strange things pass. And I think that's kind of in some ways how we live our lives and how we live in this time of disruption, is sitting with being neither here nor there. And even as we sit together in this space of being with each other, but also not with each other, and also very much with each other. And in part, Anne brings that poem in to invite us into liminal space. So knowing that the space that we're in can feel like this kind of between space. And that can be scary and hard, and it can feel weird and strange and not totally right, and also beautiful. And also the slate gray shimmering, that kind of the beauty that lives within that, the possibility that lives within it. So and it's not either or. It's not only one or the other. It's holding the duality of both of those things. That in a moment of fear, there's also possibility. In a moment of challenge, there's opportunity. So in this moment of disruption in society, there's also a moment of possibility. And that is true in our own lives as well. So and Francis said, some learn to live in it always. And that's can be a place of survival, to just be in the gray space and be able to hold liminal space and be able to sit with, okay, that every moment is going to be a threshold moment and I'm going to have to choose to cross it. And I love the last line, of course, and catch the heart off guard and blow it open. And it reminds me that even when I'm kind of in the snowstorm and there's, this coming at me, that there's this opportunity for the heart to be caught off guard. And that sometimes it happens. I look up and I see the winter wonderland. I'm over here shoveling the driveway, and there it is right there. So how do we turn the attention? And that's the question that I've been sitting with, is how do we, in those moments, move our energy? And that is really about shifting attention. Because am I looking at the driveway, and am I looking at the shovel, or am I looking at the beauty of the trees in the winter wonderland? And sometimes, or all the time, it's both. It's not about one or the other. So, and I wanted to share one other little piece, which is from another cultural holder, is Glennon Doyle, who wrote the book Untamed. And I know that many in our community have been reading it. She says, the opposite of sensitive is not brave. It's not brave to refuse to pay attention, to refuse to notice, to refuse to feel and know and imagine. The opposite of sensitive is insensitive, and that's no badge of honor. And I bring that in because I find that when I'm going into distraction after distraction, what I'm looking at, what am I actually trying to avoid? And the idea with energy following attention is that we're actually we're shifting our awareness from what we're trying to avoid to what we want to bring into reality. And that's more work by Otto Scharmer. But just that, I'll just repeat it again, that when we are looking at that energy follows attention idea, we're shifting our attention from what we're trying to avoid to what we want to bring into reality. And that means we're not looking, and that, Francis brought in this survival mode. We're not just looking at what do I need to survive and what's the thing that put me in this position. We're looking at what is the reality that I'm moving into. What is it that I feel is possible? So for me, that requires a little bit of decluttering, and, just clearing out space, and looking at, well, where is it then that I'm focusing? What is, in this case, what is the driveway? What is the place where I'm putting the shovel, and putting my attention? Because yes, I need to do that, but am I also holding the beauty of the moment? So what is it that I would need to let go of for even just a moment, to be able to see the kind of winter wonderland, to see the piece that I'm trying to bring into reality. So what I wanted to do is, I've been doing this little practice of Marie Kondoing my mind a little bit. And I don't know if any of you have done the Marie Kondo method, but yes, I think I think I need to do it again actually in the house, but I tried to think about actually doing it, and then I was like, I don't know if I can get rid of these pants because I don't know if I'm ever going to wear them out again, but but Francis says just let it go. So so maybe a perfect time to, Risa says she does it every day. So what I thought is that we could, instead of doing it with clothes, which I highly recommend, is to do it with what we're focusing on. And so I thought we could do a little journaling practice and just kind of get some of these things on paper the same way. So Marie Kondo method, for those of you who may not be aware, is a decluttering method by a Japanese woman who has been getting quite a lot of notoriety for her method, where she basically says, what is it in my life, I brought so much into my life. What is it that actually sparks joy? And if it doesn't spark joy, what is it still doing here? And what I love about it is that she actually acknowledges that this piece of clothing or this, book it has a sense of purpose. It may have brought some purpose into my life, and I've been holding it there for a reason. And I get to see that, either the feeling that's associated with it or whatever it is. And I can choose to let it go. And that opens us up to the space of possibility. So we're going to do a little bit of that process. I highly recommend her book as well, and her whole thing. because it's not just decluttering your clothing or your books or your house, but it really does declutter the interior space as well. So that said, we can do a little moment of journaling. And maybe before we do that, we just do a moment of centering. And I'll bring back some of Wendy Palmer's work, which is just a physical experience of centering. So if you'd like to get both feet flat on the ground and just let your arms kind of hang down. So your fingertips, just feel the energy moving out of your fingertips. So you can just point your fingertips towards the ground. And I don't know if we really want to go with this metaphor, but I'm going to say it because Wendy uses it. She says she pictures little baby goats suckling on the fingertips. And that's how you feel the energy. So if you just felt the energy of your fingertips, because what that does is it actually relaxes the shoulders and it made you smile. So both of those are good things. So relaxing our shoulders, letting them fall away from the ears. Inhale up through the spine and exhale, lengthen the back of the neck. Feeling a sense of uplift. Feeling a sense of shiny, as if you were wearing glitter all over, just feeling a sense of shine in your body. And then think of something that makes you smile. Perhaps it's not baby goats, perhaps it's someone or something else. And just bringing that noble, awesome, shiny energy. Knowing that this is always here. This place of center is always here. When you're ready, you can open your eyes and look at your paper and pen and just begin to write down, where is it that I'm spending my time, or what am I spending my time focusing on throughout the day? That could be distractions that you use and when you use them, but just really be honest with yourself. So just being honest with yourself. And I'll give you these questions, but you can take a longer. Marie Kondo for me takes me hours and hours. So I'll give you this process, but you can take it on your own. But so the first question is really, what is it that you're spending your time focusing on? Where are you putting your energy and attention? And it's okay to write down Netflix if that's true for you. I notice that some of mine, I just feel like I have to write it again and again. It's like, oh, I'm focusing on that over and over and over again. I'm just noticing in that focus, if you're using any of those as a distraction, is there something in it that you're trying not to feel? So, what might you be trying not to feel? I wrote food 3 times, so there's something there. What am I trying not to feel by going food, 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 food? Food is great. And And as you write down this list of what you're spending your time focusing on, just take a moment to look at it and just see the magnitude of what is taking your attention. So this is, if you've done the Marie Kondo method, this is the moment where you see the pile of clothes on the floor and you realize how much you've accumulated. So where is it that we are spending our focus, spending our energy? What is it that we're actually focusing on? Maybe that list is still going, but just noticing. Maybe there's one that you've starred a few times. So take one of these. In the ideal world, you would take each one, and Marie Kondo says, take it into your hands. So in whatever way that would feel for you, the metaphor of taking it into your hands, but take it into your mind's eye, take it into your heart. Just feel into this. Does it spark joy? And just hold it in your heart, hold it in your mind's eye, hold it in your hands. Does it spark joy? Just feel it for a moment. And as you hold that in your heart or your mind's eye, just sitting for a moment with, what purpose has this focus served? Perhaps it's a distraction, perhaps it's an early childhood need, perhaps it's fun. Whatever it is, just noticing, what purpose does this serve? What purpose has this focus served in my life? And then take a moment and you can write down how much time you want to spend on it going forward, or if there's some new application of energy. Perhaps you realize, I mean, for me, let's say the food thing, I want to focus on nourishing food. I want to focus on cooking my own food and feeling really good about the food that I'm eating, because when I do that, it does spark joy. And there are other food things that are mindless that I realize actually don't spark joy and have just been filler. They've just been distraction. So for me, I might want to spend less time on that and more on really nourishing my body. And that's the purpose that I want food to take in my life. So just take a moment and write that down, maybe for the one thing that you've identified so far. And you can thank the areas that you may no longer be focusing on. So I love that part where I have a sweater or a pair of pants or something that it's no longer their time in my closet and they are going to live a new life. So I will maybe know that salty chips are going to find a new home in someone else's pantry. Um, and that frees up space. So I'm not saying that you know what the next thing is going to be, but what can we do to free up space in our focus? And just take a moment and reflect. And this is probably the beginning of a practice. So it may be something that you want to continue, it may be something you want to let go of. But we're going to move into breakouts for about 20 minutes. So for those of you on YouTube, thank you for joining us today. We'll see you actually not next week, the week after. And for those of you who are in Zoom, we are going to turn to each other and get the opportunity to connect with one another and share anything that's coming up for you, an insight, a practice, something that you felt like um, you started to deepen a little bit. And Karen just wrote in here, I feel like I have the opposite problem. I don't have time to do things that don't matter, and it's exhausting always doing what does. So feel free to bring in whatever's coming up for you, because that's a place where we actually, get to hear divergent thought processes and what's going on for each of us. So feel free to share from all of these different aspects. We'll go into groups of about 4 or 5 people, and just make sure to give everyone a chance to speak and be heard. So we'll have 20 minutes and you can manage your own time. Enjoy your time together. We'll see you back here 5 minutes before the top of the hour.